Alright, so welcome back to Decoy Noise. Today we're going to go over an AskReddit thread, but first I kind of wanted to shout out a couple people. We had Poker Pigeon that actually took some time out of his day to give me a review of the channel, give me some good input and advice. He was very polite about it, but honestly, I will never take any constructive criticism negatively. Honestly, appreciate anybody that will actually give me just pointers on things that I may or may not be seeing. I appreciate Poker Pigeon. And then also Matthew K. I don't want to dox you over here, but he's subscriber number 116. My channel growth has been insanely slow, so I appreciate that. I will remember you, Matthew K. And honestly, I think I'm only at, 113? Or no, 138 right now, which isn't good, but it's not bad. But honestly, I appreciate everybody subscribing. If you haven't already, please do so below. Leave me a comment, anything that I could do to make this better. But honestly, let's just get into it right now with parents with nanny cams. What have you caught your babysitter doing when they don't know what you're watching? So let's just get into this right now. The Becky Blue says, wish I had a nanny cam. My stepsister was watching my brother with disabilities for me. She would dump out the contents of his capsule meds and use them later. Didn't find out about it until she started having seizures constantly and ended up in the hospital for the second time. Well, that's terrible. That person's just stealing their meds. They're a criminal. Sucre Blue says, what the? How can people be so cruel and stupid? I'm so sorry you guys had to go through this. Again, that's terrible. Most Things says, this isn't a bad one. My parents caught the babysitter carrying our 60-pound golden retriever like she was a baby. That's nice. Aromatic Razzmatazz says, we caught our maintenance guy spooning with our 130-pound mastiff on the floor. We encourage their love as best we can now. So, mastiffs can be 130 pounds? That's nuts. Most Things. I'd feel better knowing my dog occasionally gets extra love from random strangers when we can't. Yes, I always love petting random dogs out in the street if I can. Aromatic Razzmatazz replied saying, anytime he's working out back, we always let her out there to play with him. They make each other so happy now. Why would I ever stand in the way of that? Yeah, they get along. That's a good thing. Good bonus for him to get to play with a big dog when he's working. Anne Marie Taylor says, I've been a pretty regular weekend nanny for an amazing family of 4 years now. They've cycled through a couple different weekday nannies since I've been with them. There's only one monitor and it's in the little dude's room. Once the mom showed me on the camera why they let the other one go. Little dude said, Mommy said I don't have to do that. And the nanny snapped back says, well, it doesn't matter. Mommy's a B-word. Then dragged the kid out of the room by the shirt. Super fired. And also a criminal. Jeez. PD216 Ohio replies saying, FYI, they only showed you footage from the decoy camera. Likely, if they have the one camera, they probably have more. Maybe just don't trust anybody, but honestly, take precaution. They're your kids. Jesse Kina says, this isn't an answer, more of an additional question, but how much of the video do parents with nanny cams watch? Or do they watch them on speed playback and adjust the speed to normal if they see something suspicious or noteworthy? Honestly, they probably put them on a motions detector and just watch the motions, but who knows? Nikki Bick replied saying, we have an outdoor camera. If we need to go back to check something, we walk on super fast forward. Turns out our paid house dog sitter did not walk the dog like she was supposed to. See, that's just them doing their due diligence and actually getting their money's worth out of it. Massacre Necro says, this was my equivalent of pre-K. All the kids were regressing in their movement ability and getting really fat, so they set up spy equipment. Turns out one carer was doubling every baby's food portions and forcefully overfeeding them. What? Why? How does this benefit anybody? Ladybug Sheep replying saying, why? Major 84 says, some people are of the mentality that fat little children are healthy children. I've heard that adage though before, like, oh, let's fatten this baby up to help them sleep through the night and, make them healthy, but not to the point where they're losing mobility. Self-redicating says, 100% true, my in-laws are like this. If they think the kids aren't eating enough, they will make it rain junk food because the kids need to eat. Maybe I wonder why he won't eat broccoli. Maybe because he knows he gets a bag of Cheetos when he turns his nose up at the green stuff. But that's what grandparents are for, spoiling the kids, having a good time. Like, they can have fun with the kids and not actually have the responsibility of, being the bad guy like the parents are. Lucy11 Iam says, not a nanny cam because this happened in the 90s. I don't think we had them in Scotland, but then my mom came home early one day because she'd become suspicious of our nanny, as my sister and I never slept a day with her. She found both my sister and I in bed in the middle of the day. Turns out my nanny had been dosing us with child medicine to make us sleep all day so she could sit and do nothing. Wow. The 90s were a wild time, I guess. That's terrible, though. Real Zeltos says, well, the case which happened near where I live. Woman used to work, husband out of country, had a 2-year-old kid. They hired a nanny to look after him during the daytime. Day by day, the kid started to look malnourished, so she set up a spy cam. Apparently the lady used to bring her kid and feed him all the food left for the kid she was supposed to babysit. Then she would feed the kid the cheap biscuits. She was promptly handed over to the police. Wow, so they're malnourishing the kid and stealing. That's terrible on all fronts. These stories aren't fun. These are just terrible stories. Izzy says, that happened to my uncle when the babysitter was stealing formula for her own child and giving him watered down formula. My uncle got sicker and sicker. They fired the babysitter, but he eventually died. Wow, this just keeps on getting worse. Jeez. D-Town Forever says, whoa, I was hoping the story ended happily. Yeah, none of these stories are ending happily other than the dogs getting played with. That's it. Jackson77 says, I travel the US for work and am fortunate enough to bring my two beagles with me. They have never been away from my side longer than the time I've been at work. They are 10 and 13. I have a camera that I use to check in on them sometimes, mostly because my larger beagle is quite the ingenious guy, opening doors, scooting over chairs, so he can jump onto the counters, etc., etc. Wow, that's a smart dog. Last year I was in Oregon and had to go home to Michigan for an emergency. I do not fly with them. I will only drive. So I was in a pickle and reluctantly hired someone off Rover that was willing to come stay over in my hotel room for 3 days. She was great. Kept on texting me about the dogs, said things like tossing them the ball now, so I would check in with via the cam when I thought it was appropriate. The woman was amazing. Not only was she playing with them enough to make them exhausted, she was even teaching them new tricks, making them use their brains to solve puzzles, even got my 42-pound beagle to get up on her back so she could do push-ups. She was an avid CrossFitter. I was extremely happy. See, that's one thing, is whenever I'm out of town, I used to have people come over and watch the cat, and it would be one of those things where, like, I appreciate when they'd send me just stupid pictures of him, like, laying in the sun and everything, but I honestly, like, whenever I see someone that needs their cat to be sat, I honestly will jump at that opportunity, but I feel weird, like, one of my neighbors was going away on Christmas, and I was like, hey, I got some catnip toys for my cat, can I give your cat a catnip toy? And I'm like, I kind of love this cat too much. Like, should I be giving this animal a treat and a Christmas gift? I feel weird about it, but honestly, I would have extremely appreciated if someone did it for me, so hopefully it was appreciated. Cultist Fit says, WTF, this is wholesome and something isn't right here. Yeah, it's not right. Like, nobody's miserable in that story. Everybody's happy and responsible. Radio Brain says, a friend caught his nanny hitting their kid for interrupting the day's binge of TV show Friends. Oh, that day's binge of TV show Friends. Wow, that's weirdly worded, but yeah. Hot Tamales with Ketchup 2 says, hope the cops are called. And yes, I do hope the cops are called for that situation. Verita Sazak says, we have a nanny cam and we caught our nanny dancing with our baby, making him laugh and giving him kisses. She's the best and the cameras gave us peace of mind to know she really treats him like her own. See, there's a good happy story. Few and far between, but I appreciate that right there. I'm the gayest replies, last year I was working for a family that had a 3-year-old and a 7-month-old. Toddler was down for a nap and it was just me and the baby. I put on some Otis Redding and was singing to her and her mom walked in the door. I was twirling around, LMAO. I was embarrassed to be caught, but she thought it was the cutest thing. Yeah, that's nice to know that somebody that's watching babies actually likes babies. Like, don't be a dog walker if you don't like being around dogs. Dope username says, my story isn't that interesting, but I have a camera to check in on my rabbit when I'm not there. The biggest surprise was mostly about how nobody followed my pet sitting instructions. Oh, that's sad. The one exception, ironically, was my brother, who claimed to hate the rabbit but always wanted to get rid of it. I got an alert one day that my camera had detected movement while my bro was in there taking care of him. I decided to take a peek. I opened the app connected to the camera and saw my bro walk into the room, lay on the floor, and start playing with the rabbit. It just warmed my heart. Like all those stories of, like, the father that doesn't want the kids to get a dog, but then the father is one that's most attached to the dog. The crazy human. First rule of siblings, never show your siblings that you love them or their pets. That's true. Toxic Gecko says, when I was 7, I genuinely was convinced for a while that my sister hated me. The typical, you're adopted, don't want to hang out with my little sister attitude. That was until this older boy started picking on me and she punched him square in the face and gave him a nosebleed. Yeah, see, only I can pick on my family type of stuff. And then Anemus Rapid says, a little late to the party, but here goes. My mom suspected our maid of stealing the silverware, and she's just so effing nosy. Anyway, the maid wasn't stealing the silverware, and I think that ended up being overshadowed by my dad being with her, though. Oh no. Hey, I guess the silverware was her bonus? Like, what's going on here? SoCal Dan says, if watching adult videos has taught me anything, your dad was just punishing her for stealing. That's terrible. Oh, man. Okay, so Raff Me Up says, we have a security camera in my bedroom for my free roam bunny so we can keep an eye on her whilst on work if we go on a holiday, etc. So my dad is 50 and is a big bloke who acts like he doesn't like pets, came over one day whilst I was out. He went in my room, crouched down, calling the bunny. He spent an hour trying to pet the rabbit and kept repeating in a soft voice, "I'm not gonna hurt you, I just want to pet you to see how fluffy you are." He just about went himself when I spoke through the security camera to tell him she's very fluffy. That's terrible. Cootie Pie Koopa says, "I'd definitely S my pants if I was randomly called out for trying to pet a bun bun." Very true. I'll do a couple more of these. Swift Scout Timo says, "My family brought one to see our dogs when we... nanny cam to see our dogs when we leave on vacation twice a year. It's one where they can hear us, and we thought it'd be great. We hardly use it. We also asked our maid to dog sit for us while we were out. Once we looked at the feed to see the dog sitter sitting there for a solid 30 minutes, just early petting the dogs, playing with them. Since she's just retired from working, but she was the sweetest old lady, and we love her." Okay. Another time, my dad left a wad of cash on top of the washing machine, about $600, where she put a rubber band around it with a note saying he misplaced it. Okay, that's nice. Wow, she's not robbing him, and she's not... That's too bad that she retired, because she was actually probably the best maid dog sitter that you could ever ask for. Last one. Plastic Immunity says, "We once caught the nanny putting charcoal to feed them as a snack. This woman claims she thought it was a snack in a charcoal box. My brothers were 4. What? Babies can have a little charcoal. It's just a snack. Okay, so I mean, we learned a lot of terrible things today. We learned a couple funny things, but the biggest thing we learned right now was get a nanny cam. Get a nanny cam for your dogs, for your bunny, for your babysitter, for everybody, because you need to see what's going on when you're not around, good or bad. So I mean, you're kind of seeing the nanny cam a decoy noise, so if you haven't already, please subscribe down below, check out the video over there, and also leave me a comment as to what I should do to better the channel, wear more hats, have more guests, whatever it may be. I'll never take offense to it. Honestly, push the envelope on what I won't take offense to, and drop it down below.